and today I want to talk about social mishap exposure therapy, what it is, why I've been doing it, and how it has been helping me so far. So, social mishap exposure therapy is purposefully putting yourself in a social situation that is going to bring about the outcome that you fear the most. For example, if you have social anxiety, maybe you're afraid to do certain things because you think that people are going to laugh at you. So, when you do a social mishap exposure, it's basically just doing something that's really ridiculous and something that's abnormal, and you're doing something socially that people normally don't do. That's why it's called social mishap exposure. And when you do this, since what you're doing is so ridiculous, it's going to cause people to laugh at you. Sometimes people will laugh at you, sometimes they won't. But then you'll realize when somebody does laugh at you, you'll realize, okay, this actually isn't that bad. And it makes you realize that your worst fears, for example, somebody laughing at you in a social situation, is actually not the end of the world, and you will be able to survive it. So, doing social mishap exposure therapy, I feel like it's an advanced form of exposure therapy. So, obviously, there are levels to your social anxiety. And if you have very, very severe social anxiety, I would advise doing regular exposure therapy first because it's not going to be as anxiety provoking. And then eventually you can move your way up to social mishap exposure therapy. So, I've been overcoming my anxiety for a while now, which is why I decided to take it to the next level of doing the social mishap exposures. So one of the things that I decided to do was I was going to go into Five Guys and I was going to do this specific exercise. And doing an exercise in Five Guys, that's obviously abnormal. That is something that who's exercising in the middle of Five Guys. That's absolutely ridiculous, right? So I'll put in a clip of me doing that. So this is me doing the exercise in Five Guys. You can kind of see in the background the employees kind of smiling. So one of the quotes that I read online is like, action is the antidote to anxiety. And so when I came up with this idea to do the exercise in Five Guys, before I left my house, I was like really nervous about it and I was shaking a little bit, right? But then when I got to Five Guys, I realized that it wasn't going to be as bad because of the fact that there wasn't that many people in the Five Guys. So there were two girls sitting at a table. They were either in middle school or high school. And then obviously the employees are in there. And then one other boy came in who's also either in middle school or high school, right? Because when I had came up with this idea, I'm thinking that the Five Guys is going to be packed, and I'm just getting stressed out and anxious. Like, how am I going to set up my camera, and how am I going to even have the space to do this exercise? Because the exercise I was doing is like one where you have to walk around. It's not like you can be in one spot doing the exercise, right? So I'll admit I chose a very anxiety provoking thing for my first social mishap. But I've actually done social mishap before, like a few months ago, where I did doing jumping jacks in ShopRite, the grocery store, and then I did doing squats in Hobby Lobby. So because I did those two things and like nothing bad happened, I guess I had kind of built up the confidence to do a more advanced exercise or social mishap in the Five Guys, right? So since I had in my mind like, oh my god, there's going to be so many people in Five Guys, how am I going to set this up? Like, this is going to be crazy. And then when I got to the Five Guys, there's not that many people in the store. At first, I kind of was making excuses for the fact that I like didn't even want to do it, So I'm kind of telling myself like, oh, is it even worth it to do this social mishap? Like, I can only do this if there's 10 people in the store, right? And so I was kind of making excuses for why I can't do it, but I was like, no. I came up with this idea. I have to do it. And I think that it was good that there wasn't that many people in the Five Guys, so that's why I decided that I'm just going to do it and take advantage of the opportunity that there was not that many people in there. So when I put the resistance band around my ankles to do the exercise, I just said to the employee, like, got to get my exercise in. I felt like I should say something to kind of break the ice, explain what I was doing. Then I started doing my exercise, right? And then these two girls that were eating in there, they literally started laughing. And I feel like, when you have social anxiety, sometimes you think that people are laughing at you when they're probably not laughing at you. It's like, sometimes when people are hanging out with their friends, they're having conversation and then obviously they're just laughing because they're having fun and they're talking about things with their friends. It doesn't mean these people are laughing at you. Just because you're out in public at a situation and you hear people laughing, that doesn't mean they're laughing at you. They could be laughing at anything else in the world. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, they're laughing about other things and it doesn't have anything to do with you. But it's just if you have social anxiety, obviously you're thinking negatively about yourself and you're scared. So you're just kind of assuming that they're laughing at you, right? Obviously, because of the social mishap that I was doing something that was so ridiculous, doing this exercise in the middle of Five Guys. I think that it's safe to say that these girls were actually laughing at me, right? But I wasn't offended by it, and it didn't make me mad that they were laughing at me because I was laughing too because it was honestly so ridiculous. So I basically just did this exercise for like 10 seconds and then I stopped it and I recorded myself doing this. And so then the employee was like, "Oh, for TikTok?" And then I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm doing like exposure therapy." And so I've been posting these things on TikTok and YouTube because I thought it could be helpful for other people to motivate people and spread awareness about what the social mishap exposure is, because I didn't know what this was. I just found out about this like a few months ago when I decided to do it, because I was doing the rejection therapy, which I think is also something that's good to help you build confidence. I made another video about that I could put into the description. But anyways, I just want to say how right now I'm filming this video in the park, and I don't know why, but for some reason there's like a group of people kind of on the other side in the distance. I'm pretty sure they can't hear me, but like in the past when I would make videos, I like to be in a secluded area. Now that I got this microphone, that's what this is on me. I feel as like I can kind of make a video anywhere because now I have the microphone that's gonna just be focusing on my voice and I'm not gonna hear the cars or whatever. But like in the past, I would really like to be in a secluded area. I wouldn't want anybody hearing me. And I feel like because I've done these social mishap exposures, I'm able to now make this video, even though there are people over there across the river. Like they're really close distance to me. I'll show you the distance where they are. This is the group of people that was at the park while I was kind of looking around. I'm not really sure what they were doing, but eventually then they did leave. I was just confused because I thought it was going to be some type of event because it was like a huge group of people. Usually there's just like smaller groups of people walking around and stuff. But I feel like since I've done these exposures and I've done really ridiculous things and I feel as though nothing bad happened, yes, those girls laughed at me, but they didn't say anything mean to me. They didn't say, "Oh my God, you're such a weirdo." You know, it has showed me that it is okay to do weird things in public. Not everybody films themselves and make videos. More and more people are becoming content creators and filming themselves out in public. And like when I go to the gym, I see some people with tripods filming their exercise. So it's not like completely abnormal, but it's just not something that, everybody is doing. So I guess it's something in the past that I was nervous about. Like I said, I really did not like making content when other people are around. I don't want people listening in on me. I really would like to be by myself. But I started making this video, and then all of a sudden, this group of people is over there. I was getting nervous. Like I texted my mom, like, "What are these people doing? Like, is there going to be some type of event?" Because I don't want to be in the middle of the park making this video, and then some event is happening, and then I'm just here randomly. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to continue making the video, and then if an event happens, like, okay, fine. And then obviously I'm going to get up. I'll leave because I guess that's kind of disrespectful to do. And if there's some type of event. But anyways, now as I'm saying this, these people are actually walking away. There's this other quote that I heard, like, walk up to the lion and it disappears. Run away from the lion and it chases after you. So, as an example with this, if I'm running away from the lion, that would be me packing up my stuff, moving a different location, or just deciding I'm not going to film this YouTube video. I'll do it tomorrow, right? But if I say no, I'm going to walk up to the lion, meaning I'm going to continue to make this video, even though these people are standing over there and it's kind of making me nervous, right? And then those people, they end up leaving. So after like 5 minutes, now they're walking away. So I'm not really sure what they were doing. Maybe they were meeting up and now they're going somewhere else. But so yeah, that's good that they left because ideally I do like to be alone. But I'm proud of myself though, because then I was able to do that. And so one of the reasons that doing social mishap exposures helps you build confidence is because when I did that exercise in Five Guys and those two girls were laughing at me, in the past, like my anxiety is kind of being like, it's so embarrassing if people are to laugh at you and people are going to think you're weird. Like that's embarrassing and that's kind of the end of the world, right? And that's like a really big deal and it's going to make you feel bad. But then when those girls laughed at me, it made me realize that like, it's okay if people laugh at you and it's honestly not the end of the world, right? You guys just gotta have fun with it and you can't take life so seriously. And obviously because that situation was so ridiculous, I was also laughing also. But so then when I go to the gym and I'm trying these new exercises for the first time, I previously was nervous to do these because I'm like, obviously because when you do an exercise the first time, it's not going to be perfect. You might mess up. You might look like a fool. You might look stupid and you might look like you don't know what you're doing, right? But since I had this experience where these girls were laughing at me, but it still overall was a positive experience and like technically nothing bad happens. Like they didn't say anything mean to me. Then they weren't like, "Oh my God, you're a freaking weirdo. What the heck are you doing? What's wrong with you?" Right? I think words hurt more than if someone were to just laugh at you. But realistically, I think more people are nice in the world, and more people are either not going to say anything to you, or I feel like the worst thing that can happen is somebody laughs at you. I really don't think anybody is going to say anything to you unless your exposure is kind of like interfering with other people's life and other people's activity. If I would have done the exposure when, say, the Five Guys was really crowded, that probably wouldn't have been the best thing to do, because then I probably would have been in other people's way. But since there wasn't that many people in there, I was able to do something that was obviously still anxiety provoking, but I wasn't really being disrespectful, and I wasn't interfering with other people's lives. And so another example of a social mishap that I did was I did the Macarena in Starbucks. So I walked into Starbucks, I set up my camera, I did the Macarena, and then I walked out. And so when I did this, there was this woman who was on the computer working in there, and then there was like probably some people ordering, and then obviously the employees were in there. So it wasn't super packed, but it was still anxiety provoking for me. And I'll put in the clip to the video for that. So this is the clip of me doing the Macarena in the Starbucks, and then you can see the lady in the background is doing her work, and you can't see because I blocked her out, but she wasn't focusing on me, she was focused on herself. But somebody commented that like you could see the fear in my eyes when I was doing it. So this was a little bit easier than doing that exercise in Five Guys. But so I had a video of this whole situation. So when I posted the video, I blocked out the girl's face because I just to respect her, I didn't want to, put her on blast on the internet. But in the video, she looks at me when I walk into Starbucks and I set up my camera. But then she looks away and immediately goes back to her work. So like she's not even looking at me when I'm doing the Macarena. She just looked at me when I had set up my camera and like pressed start, and so I was just standing there. But then she looks away. So I don't think she even saw me doing the Macarena, but obviously I was still scared, right? So when you do these social mishaps, if you record yourself, I think it's good to record yourself because you can kind of see the reactions of the people around you. I don't really like to get strangers in my video because, obviously some people don't like to be put online. But if you just get this video for yourself and for your own knowledge, it makes you realize that other people are not focusing on what you're doing, and they don't care about what you're doing, and they're really focusing on themselves. Because if you have social anxiety, something that I used to think is that every single, like, if I come to the park, I'm thinking, in the past I would be like, everybody is watching me, everybody is focusing on me, they're watching my every move. I'm making this video, they're focusing on everything that I'm saying, they can hear everything that I'm saying, and they're watching my every move in detail, when that's honestly not true, because everybody is focusing on themselves. And if you think about yourself when you go out in public, are you focusing on everybody and what they're doing? You're not. You're focusing about on yourself and what you're doing. Obviously, you look at people in your environment to see who's around you, but you're not looking at people in a judging way. You're just looking at them as in, oh, let me just check out who's at the park today, or like at the gym. Let me just check out who's at the gym today. Like I see some people on TikTok, these content creators, they film themselves in the gym sometimes, and then sometimes they will show people and being like, oh my god, these people are staring at me, and they post the video and they show the people. But it's not that these people are even staring at them, it's like these people look at them really quickly and then they go back to their exercise. I think when you have social anxiety, you are kind of thinking negatively about yourself, so you think, oh my god, this person looked at me, they looked at me because they think I'm weird, and they're staring at me and they're thinking, oh my god, I'm doing this exercise wrong and I have bad form, right? When that's not what happened, this person just looked at you, because people look at you just to see what's going on. And I was just thinking, like, I could be in so many people's videos of being like, oh my god, this girl's staring at me at the gym, because I look at everybody at the gym not in a judging way, just in a way of like, oh, who's at the gym today, like what's going on. And it's like, in between sets, what are you supposed to do? There's not really much you can do. Like, you can go on your phone, but like not everyone wants to be on their phone 24/7. So you just kind of look around, and I look at people also as inspiration to see what type of exercises they're doing, or if I see somebody who has like the physique that I want, sometimes I like to see what exercises they're doing so that I could say, oh, okay, maybe I could do some of those exercises, because I want to, get to look more like them. I'm trying to grow my glutes more. So if I see, a girl who has nice glutes, sometimes I'll like to see what exercises she's doing not in a judging way, not to judge her form, just to see, oh, maybe I could do that exercises and maybe it will help me, right? I don't even know who has good form, who doesn't have good form. I think also if you have social anxiety, you think everyone around you is like an expert, and like say you do an exercise wrong, you're thinking like, oh my god, I'm doing this exercise wrong, and everybody knows that I did this exercise wrong. When realistically, there's probably lots of people in the gym that don't even know what they're doing and they have bad form. So like they're gonna see you and you might have bad form, but these people, they might not even know because they also don't know the right way to have form. You know. So you just can't assume that everybody is an expert. Something that can help you is just to think everybody is a beginner. And in the beginning when I was at the gym and I was kind of scared because I didn't know what I was doing. Something that helped me was to tell myself everybody else at this gym is a beginner. It's everybody's first day at the gym and nobody knows what they're doing. It will help you to believe and to think that nobody knows what they're doing than if you're thinking everybody in this gym knows what they're doing and they all know the correct way to do things and I don't and they're judging me. Like if you think like that, people, then it's just going to make you more anxious. And so when I was at the gym and because of doing these social mishap exposures gave me the confidence to go out of my comfort zone and to try these new exercises I previously was scared of. I had filmed myself doing these exercises so that, I could post it online to show people that I did this. But I'm watching this video and I realized like, oh, my form is really bad in this. So I think it also can be good to record yourself doing exercise just so you can see if you have good form or not. But like you could look at your video of you having bad form and you could be kind of embarrassed, like, oh my god, I had bad form. Like, did people see me having bad form and did everybody know that this was happening? You can't think like that. Nobody saw, nobody cares, and nobody's focusing on what you're doing. So another thing today, I had to go to the doctor just to refill a prescription. It wasn't because I was sick or anything, but in the waiting room, I decided that I was going to try and do the Macarena again. Because like I said, how someone said that I looked like I had a lot of fear in my eyes the first time that I did it. So I was like, let me just do the Macarena again. Again at first I was like, is it even worth it to do the Macarena in the middle of the doctor's office? But I think that it is worth it to do these things because it's always a learning experience and you're always going to learn something new. So I see these women in the waiting room and they're kind of on their phone and everything, and it just made me realize I'm terrified to do the Macarena in here because I'm thinking that these people are going to be staring at me, watching my every move, and judging me, right? When that's just not the case, and that's just not what's happening. That's not reality. These people, they're just on their phones, or there's kind of like a group of women. They were kind of together, and they're just like talking to each other, right? And so they didn't care about what I was doing. So nobody laughed at me, and nobody did anything like that. I also, I did the not the Macarena. I did jumping jacks. I went to town today and I didn't want to do it in the Starbucks again. So there were these people eating outside, like two tables eating outside. And then near them, I just did like 10 jumping jacks and I videotaped myself doing that. And at first the lady was looking at me, but then she eventually looks away. So then I just was doing the jumping jacks. So it's like people will glance at you, but they're not going to be staring at you the whole entire time. So once I started doing the jumping jacks, I'm not sure if she started looking at me again. But because at first I didn't want to do the jumping jacks because I was scared. But then I was like, no, you have to do them, just do them. And I think when you come up with these ideas for your social mishaps, because I was just coming up with things for myself, I need to come up with some more things, what to do, because I'm kind of running out of ideas. Because I want it to be funny, like the jumping jacks. I feel like that's not really that funny. I really liked the one exercise that I did in Five Guys. I feel like the Macarena, like, I don't know, that was not really that funny either, but I couldn't come, that was the only thing that I could come up with to do, and so that's why I had to do it again today. But, yeah, it just kind of makes you realize that when you're going to do an anxiety-provoking social mishap, it just makes you realize that the people in your environment, they're not really focusing on you, and they're focusing on themselves, and they don't really care what's going on. Even when I did that video about, me doing that exercise in Five Guys, yes, those two girls saw me and were laughing at me, but the other boy that was in there that was like online to order, he wasn't really paying it in the video. Like you could see, he's not really paying attention to what I'm doing, and he looked like he was kind of unbothered, and he just didn't really care. So your mind tries to tell you that everybody's focusing on you, everyone's looking at you, when that's just not true and that's just not the case. So something that helps is to just pretend that you're the only person in the world and nobody around you is watching you. And like, I could think to myself, like, I'm at the park by myself, and I'm filming this video. Nobody else is at the park and nobody else is here but me. And if you can, kind of be delusional and pretend and trick your mind that you're the only person at the park, then it's going to help you and you're going to feel better than if you're telling yourself, oh my God, everybody is looking at me at the park and everybody's watching my every move. You have to think about what thoughts you're having and how you can change your thoughts to be less anxiety provoking, because the thoughts that you're having are probably not helping you and they're probably making you feel worse. So it's easier to change your thoughts when you actually have evidence of it being true and being reality. So that's why doing the social mishaps was helpful to me, because I was able to actually see, oh, okay, I'm doing this thing in public, but people actually aren't focusing on me and they're actually not looking at me. And I have evidence of it because I have it on video. And at first I was like, the girl in Starbucks, when I did the Macarena, I was like, did she look away immediately because she didn't want to be on camera? Or was it because she just was not focusing on what I was doing? And, it could be both of those things, but I honestly think she just didn't really care about what I was doing because she was in Starbucks on a mission. Maybe she was working from home because this was maybe like 4 o'clock. I don't know. She was obviously working in Starbucks because she was on her laptop. People are busy, they have their own lives, and they have their own things that they need to get done and their own goals in life. So she just probably glanced at me, oh, someone walked into the Starbucks, let me see who it is. And then it's like, all right, this girl came in, whatever, I don't care. I need to focus back on doing my work. I have goals to do. I don't have time to be worrying about this random person. She wants to set up and do some freaking video in Starbucks, whatever, I don't care. I need to focus on back to my goals and what I'm doing. So I think that's what it was, People are focusing on themselves. They don't care about what you're doing. So just don't think that everyone's staring at you and looking at you when that's just not the case. So before doing the social mishap exposures, I guess I kind of started small with that, which kind of a regular exposure was I was doing that tube girl trend. I'll insert a clip of what that is, but it's this girl was on the subway. It's a subway in London, so that's why it's called the Tube. So that's why it's called Tube Girl. So, she makes these videos where she's holding the camera, and it's like you're holding the phone far away from you, and then you bring it out and all this stuff. So this is one of the Tube Girls videos, Sabrina Bassoon. So she makes these dancing videos on the tube in London, so it's kind of like the subway, if you live in the USA. So her choreography is very good. I tried to replicate it, but obviously mine just wasn't as good as that. And so here's another video of her doing it. Her videos are really good. She goes all out and she's really confident with it. So that's what I want to do in my next ones that I make, just being more confident with it and going all out and not holding myself back as much. So the first time I did it was in Urban Outfitters. I was very scared to do this. I was kind of shaking a little bit. My heart was racing. There were some people in there and I was really scared, but I knew that I had to do it because if I didn't do it today and I wanted to try to do it the next day, it was just going to get harder and harder. So I think when you have these ideas to do something, you have to do it immediately, because the longer you wait, the more and more nervous you're going to be, because you're communicating to your brain, this is not safe to do, because if it was safe to do, you would have done it already. And since you didn't do it, that means it's scary, so the brain is going to keep giving you more anxiety the next time you go to do it. So something that I think is helpful is that I was also doing is to tell your anxiety, thank you for protecting me, but I am and warning me of this danger zone, but I am choosing to do this. No matter what happens, it's okay, and I'm going to be okay no matter what happens. And I think this does help your anxiety to lessen, because if you don't do this and you don't thank your anxiety, then your anxiety might start to get louder, because it's like, oh my God, why aren't you listening to me? This is very scary and crazy, and you shouldn't do this. It's not safe. But then if you say, oh, thank you for telling me this, then it might start to lessen a bit. So the first time I did the trend in Urban Outfitters, I didn't really know how to do the choreography, so I didn't do it right. And so I guess, that was something that I did. I kind of made a fool of myself. But then I was like, oh, that's okay. When you do things that you actually want to do, you can, and say they don't go as planned, you could just pretend it was a social mishap. Like, oh, I did that trend bad and with the wrong choreography on purpose for social mishap exposure therapy. Even though that's obviously not what happened. But whatever. So then I did the two girl trend a couple of other times, and now I've been able to build confidence, and now I'm not scared anymore to do it. So the first time you do these things, obviously it's going to be anxiety provoking and it's going to be scary, but that's okay. You just have to be scared and do it anyway and keep pushing yourself until eventually it's not scary anymore. So something that I realized is when you're going to do something, you have to do it with confidence and you have to go all out when you do this. Whatever it is you want to do, you can't do it and be nervous, because when you look nervous, you look worse and you don't look as good. But if you go all out and you be confident, then you're going to look better. So for example, with the tube girl trend, the first times I was doing this, like obviously this is easier said than done, right? So the first times I was doing it, I was being nervous and I was kind of looking around. So I'm like videoing myself, but I'm also like, I'm kind of looking around like, oh my God, are people watching me? Are people looking at me, right? And I'm not going all out with the dance moves and the choreography because I'm being nervous that, like, oh my God, people are looking at me, right? So say you do something like that, then you're going to look at your video, and obviously your video is just not going to be good because you're going to look nervous in it. And then when the people in your environment, like I said, they're not really focusing on you, but say they were to witness you doing this, like, you're just not going to look good because you're going to look nervous, right? But if you were to make the video and you focus on yourself, you focus on looking at the camera, you don't look around you, don't look at the people around you, just focus on yourself. You go all out with your dance moves if you want to, dance a little bit more, jump around, right? Then if somebody witnesses you doing this, they're going to think, oh, that person's really cool. Like, oh, that person's confident. They want to make a video, they're making the video, and, they don't care, right? Once I saw this girl in the gym, and somebody was filming her doing this. I think she was doing a TikTok dance, right? She was going all out and she was being really confident with it. And I was just thinking, oh, that girl's really brave, right? I I was motivated by her, right? If she were to do that, but she was kind of nervous and not going all out with her dance moves and she's looking around, then I probably would have thought like, oh, this girl, she's really nervous, like her dance moves aren't that good, right? I don't know. I would have, I guess, thought more negatively about her, right? But since she was going all out and she was just being confident with it, then I was thinking positively of her. So then after I realized this, then when I would do the tube girl trend, I have to say to myself, go all out because you're going to look better if you go all out. And obviously we all want people to like us and we want people to think that we're cool and think that we look good, right? So then you just have to remember, I'm going to look better if I'm more confident. I'm going to look better if I go all out. So then when I was doing the tube girl trend, I stopped looking around me to see, oh my God, who is are people looking at me, like what's going on, right? With the whereabouts of the people around me, right? And I'm just focusing on myself and making my video. And then when you look at the video that you made, it's going to be better and you're going to look better in it, right? And even with like making a YouTube video, if I'm in the park making a YouTube video and I'm just, focusing on myself in my video, pretending I'm in my room, right? And I'm just looking at the camera, it's going to look better than if I am looking around like, oh my God, who's at the park? Who's looking at me? It's just not going to look as good. And obviously, like I said, we want to look good. So just remember this, because if you have anxiety, you're going to be scared to put all of you out there and you're going to want to hold back because you're going to think it's not safe to go all out and it's safer to hold back. But that's actually not true. It's better to go all out because you're going to look better and people are going to perceive you more positively and people are going to think that you look cooler. So that's just something that I had to remember and I had to tell myself. So today when I was in the doctor's office, after I did the Macarena, I was like, let me try that two girl thing again. So I did it sitting down because I usually in the past I would just do it standing. So I did it sitting down and I didn't look around me to see if the ladies were watching me. I just focused on the camera and focused on what I was doing. And then I think that my video came out good. If I were to be looking around at the whereabouts of everybody else, then the video just wouldn't have looked as good. So that's just something to think about and to take into consideration. So this is the first one I did. I think I do look confident in it, but I'm just moving the camera into my face too much, which I realize you're not supposed to do it that way. But let me show you some of the ones that I did in the beginning where I just don't look as confident. And so I'm going to show you how when you look more confident and when you go all out, it makes you look better. So I think what was happening was I was like starting off strong, but then I was getting nervous, so then my facial expressions kind of die out, like how it is in this one. So then this one I started getting better in at, just focusing on the camera and kind of smiling the whole time. I tried to do the little butt shake in this one. Then I think this one is also a good one, but there is a moment where I do look around to kind of see the whereabouts of other people, like right there, which I don't like that I did that. So I think that this one definitely looks better, and I'm trying to go more all out and, really throw myself into the video and not hold back in this one. And then this is the one that I did today. So this is a sitting down one, so it's a little bit different. But I think that I did good with this one. There were other people in the waiting room, but I didn't mind, and I just did what I wanted to do. But also, as another social mishap, I actually did this trend, but without a phone, and I had my mom record this in Kohl's. I thought that this was funny. So, there's obviously some customers walking around, and then I'm doing this. I think I looked confident in this one because, this was after a while of me doing that trend. Say you're in a position where you have no friends because the fact that your social anxiety is just really bad, so you're not talking to people, right? If this is the case, then you honestly have nothing to lose because if you do something embarrassing, how are you going to lose friends because you don't have any friends, right? So I don't really have that many friends right now, to be honest with you. And it's not even because of my social anxiety. Like, I had friends in the past, and then I graduated college, and you just grow out of friendship with people. Interests change and all that stuff, right? You just kind of drift apart from friends, right? So, as an example, when I go to the gym, I don't have any friends at the gym. I did meet this one girl at the gym, but I haven't been seeing her there. I met her a few months ago, and then I moved to the beach for the summer, and then I came back home now, and I just haven't seen her there. So you want to say I have one friend at the gym? Like, that's okay. Maybe we could say that. But like, I haven't been seeing her there. I haven't seen her in like 5 months probably. Okay. So I think to myself, okay, I have zero friends at the gym, right? I have nothing to lose by making a fool out of myself by trying these new exercises. Something else I wanted to start doing at the gym, I haven't had the opportunity to do it because the last time I went to the gym, I wasn't really listening to music because the gym that I go to, they don't play music out loud very loudly. Like, it's very faint, the music, and I was wearing my loops earplugs just because I have sensory issues, so I don't like hearing the loud noises. And I think that it might be better for me to just wear my loops earplugs at the gym and not really listen to music that much because if I have my music in, I'm still able to kind of hear a little bit of background noise, and it kind of stresses me out a little bit and makes me overwhelmed. So in the past, when I would listen to music, at times I would kind of want to dance and jump around because of the music that I'm listening to. But then I wouldn't, and I would hold myself back because I'm like, I don't want these people to think that I'm weird, right? And so after doing the social mishap exposures, I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should start, dancing at the gym more and kind of jumping up if that's what I feel like doing, right? Like I said, I didn't have the opportunity to do it because then the last time I went to the gym after doing these mishap exposures, I wasn't really listening to music. So I didn't have urges to start dancing, right? But that's something that I wanted to do because I think to myself, like, I don't have any friends at the gym. If I were to do this, I'm not going to lose anything because I have nothing to lose at this point. So I'm actually in a good position. And when you are dancing at the gym, you're kind of having fun, and this could actually make other people have conversation with me, and it might make I might make a friend because of this. Like, for example, when I went into the Five Guys and I did that exercise, I was then able to have a sort of conversation, with the employee about it. And then when I went to the Five Guys the next time, like the next day, he asked me like, "Oh, no exercise today?" And I was like, "Oh no," right? And so like I felt like it kind of made him like me more as a customer than if I was just to go in there like a normal person and get my food and then leave, right? Since I did a kind of weird exercise in there, it kind of gave us something to talk about the next time we went in there, and I felt as though it made him like me more. So that's something to think about too. Like, people do like kind of weird people. I kind of had this fear that like I don't want people thinking that I'm weird. People aren't gonna like me if I'm weird, right? But I think that that's actually not true. And I think people like you more if you're weird and you're a little bit different and you're a little bit out there. So I think that's something also to think about. And so another way that the social mishaps helped me is that my brother has been picking me up from the gym because something happened to the car, so I was in the shop, so we only have one car right now. I wasn't able to drive myself to the gym. And so the first time he picked me up from the gym, there was kind of a waiting period where I had to wait for him to come and pick me up, right? So I was kind of bored, so I'm thinking like, okay, maybe the next time I'm gonna bring my crochet supplies. This way then I can crochet a little bit while he comes to get me, right? And so I bring my crochet supplies to the gym, and at the gym there are two seats, kind of like the waiting area, I guess, in the front of the gym. There's like a little table and there's two chairs, right? There's this man sitting in the one chair, but then the other chair's empty, right? And so at first I'm thinking like, oh my god, there's this guy sitting in the chair. I can't sit there. Like I have to wait for him to leave, or I can't crochet. And then also I'm kind of thinking like, I don't even want to crochet. Let me just go on my phone, right? But it's like, obviously you do want to crochet because you brought your crochet supplies to the gym. If you didn't want to crochet and you had no intentions of crocheting, you wouldn't have brought your stuff. But since you brought your stuff, that means that you actually do want to crochet, and so you should just crochet because that is what you want to do, right? I think if you have social anxiety or just anxiety in general, sometimes you'll have these ideas to do something, and then when it comes time to do them, your mind is going to trick you and say, you don't actually want to do this. This isn't something you actually want to do, right? Don't listen to those thoughts because it is something you actually want to do. Like even sometimes when I have these ideas to make YouTube videos or maybe even TikToks or, YouTube shorts, then when it comes time to do them, my mind starts to say to me, you don't actually want to make this video. It's not something you actually want to do. It's like, yes, it is something you want to do. You can't let your mind trick you by telling you this is not something that you actually want to do, because it is something that you want to do. So I think because of doing those social mishaps and realizing that, like, nothing bad happened, and yeah, those girls laughed at me, whatever, it wasn't a big deal. For the most part, nothing bad happens and it was an overall positive experience. I'm like, no, I do want to crochet. It is okay. In a way, that was a little bit like a social mishap. Like, who's crocheting at the gym, right? It was a little bit different because I'm waiting for a ride, right? But obviously, I had a little bit of anxiety for it. But because of doing the social mishaps, it did give me some confidence. And so then I was able to do it. It wasn't a situation where I was like super super nervous to do it, but I was a little bit nervous, and I mind was trying to trick me and tell me that I actually didn't want to do these things. And I think I was more nervous because of the fact that there was somebody else sitting there. And I think sometimes people think like if somebody's sitting in the area, it's like, oh no, this space is taken. But it's actually not true. This is a shared space. Anybody can sit there. If I'm sitting there, then that guy ended up actually getting up and leaving. It was also kind of like that situation, like I said before, walk up to the lion and then it walks away, run away from the lion, it's going to chase after you, right? Because say I didn't go and sit down, maybe somebody else would have sat there and then I wouldn't have been able to. I don't know, whatever. So then I sat down, and then I also was like, I kind of want to film myself doing this. And at first I was like, no, you don't want to do that. But then I did film myself, so then I was able to do that. And then because I did the crocheting at the gym, then when I went to the doctor's office today, I crocheted in the waiting room. So if you have, social anxiety, sometimes you get nervous just about doing things like, crocheting, like that's a little bit normal behavior. I don't really know that many people that crochet in real life, but a lot of people do online, and it is something that people do. So if you have, I think that just doing the social mishap exposures, it really just gives you confidence, and then it shows you that you're capable and you can do things, and nothing bad's going to happen, and it's okay. And then you get the confidence to just go out and do whatever it is you want to do, crocheting wherever you want, making videos whatever you want to, trying new exercises at the gym. And there are still other exercises I haven't tried yet because I just didn't have the time. So I did 2 new exercises last time I went. And yes, my form was bad at first, but then I got the hang of it, and nothing bad happened. Nobody said anything mean to me. Now I know what to do for next time and how to improve my form, and so I have some other exercises that I want to do. So I'm going to go to the gym later today. I'm going to try them. So I'm posting a YouTube short about that. So I just wanted to make this video to explain social mishap exposures and how it has helped me so far. Inspire you to go and do some social mishaps for yourself and come up with your own things to do. Another thing that can help you is, say you're afraid to do some type of exercise in the fast food restaurant. You could pretend that you're like a pranking YouTube channel. When I would do the rejections, I would pretend that I had a pranking YouTube channel. One of my coworkers the other day was telling me how he was at the gym and he sees this interaction happening where this guy asks another guy to spot him. Then the guy takes off his shirt, then the guy takes off his pants, and then he's exercising in his underwear. And then he's going up to people asking them to spot him in his underwear. Then that guy ended up getting kicked out of the gym. So, don't do something like where you might get kicked out of a place. But then again, it's like if you have anxiety, you're going to get scared and paranoid that you're going to get kicked out of a place for doing something that's not even that big of a deal. I guess at the gym you shouldn't be exercising in your underwear, but doing the exercise in Five Guys, obviously, like, I don't know, if I was doing that for like an hour, maybe I would have got kicked out. But these exposures, like, they're only supposed to last, you only do something for like 20 seconds and then you leave and you move on with your life, so don't think like that and don't get paranoid that you're going to get kicked out of a place. But I would advise, maybe doing it in a place that you don't really go to all the time. Like, I'm not somebody that drinks coffee. So when I did the exposure in Starbucks, like, I'm not going into Starbucks all the time. I do go to Five Guys a lot, so I'm not really sure why I chose that place to do it in, but it ended up being positive, so I'm happy that I did it. But yeah, I would advise doing this somewhere, like doing it at a place that you probably won't go again, just so it's easier, because it's like, these people in this store are never going to see you again, so it doesn't matter, if you make a fool of yourself, right? And then eventually you can work up to doing it in places that you frequent more often. But yeah, let me know if this video was helpful for you, and let me know of any other videos you want to hear me making. And also, you can comment any other funny things that you think that I could do for social mishap exposures. I want to do a little bit more. I'm just kind of running out of ideas because I want them to be funny. I want it to be like something that helps me overcome my anxiety, but also kind of brightens other people's day and makes them laugh, because it's just something that you don't normally see all the time, because I think that would be nice. And you could also check out my other video under rejection therapy that I made, and I think doing the rejection therapy is good to do. So with the rejection therapy, it was like, that was supposed to be a 100-day challenge. I didn't make it up to the 100 days because, you don't need to put a time limit on these things. Sometimes you only need to do something 10 times and then you learn your lesson and you become confident from it. I did technically 5 days of the social mishaps, but I did 2 like months ago. And so then I did 3 days of it when I restarted it again. And I think that I learned my lesson. I think it helps me build confidence. I do want to do a few more if I can come up with some funny ideas. But like, it might only take you doing this 3 times for you to notice the things that I was saying, like noticing how people are not focusing on you and what you're doing, and noticing how it's okay to make a fool of yourself and it's not the end of the world and nothing bad is going to happen. Once you learn what it is you need to learn, and then you just get more confident to then go and do the things you actually want to do, like, that's good. You don't need to set a goal of 100 days of social mishap exposures. You could just do it 3 times. You could do it 5 times. Maybe it takes you 10 times to build confidence. That's okay. But you just don't, I'm just trying to say, like, you don't need to think you need to force yourself to do this like 30 times, because it might not be necessary. You learn what you need to learn and you build the confidence, and then you say, okay, now I'm going to focus on the things I actually want to do. For me, it was just like, making my videos in front of other people when other people are around, and then just doing the exercises that I've been scared to try in the gym. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Bye. Sorry that now it's dark, because I wanted to do this exercise earlier. I wanted to do this video earlier in the day, but then I had to go to the doctor's. So yeah, obviously the sunlight has gotten away from me, and I can't make the video with the flash in my eyes because of my sensory issues, and it bothers me. It's going to stress me out. So thank you for listening.